validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. We are trying to make it through this very tough Saturday. I know a lot of things have happened, and we're going to be touching base on some of that stuff in the politics on Monday of this week. We are going to, you see on the channel, we have the Precious Metals show already listed up there right now. We're going to be getting the details up for that coming soon. Then we have, I have to get it set up for New Zealand. I'm going to be trying to get that set up after the show today. We're going to be trying to make sure that we put all of the stuff up there that we need to have for at least through Wednesday. And then I'm going to be trying to hash out what other things we're going to be talking about Thursday through Sunday. But remember, tomorrow, Sunday, and on Sunday, we have our members only show that is open to the public right now, where we get questions and comments from the fans, similar to some of the questions that was asked by Usman when we had that question about physics. So we were talking about the the electrons and whether or not they were losing electronegativity, and basically talking about quantum physics while we were dealing with relationship topics after talking about business and finance. So we talked about a lot of stuff on the show yesterday. Special shout out to Brenda. I told Brenda, gave her my word, our word is bond on this channel. So I told Brenda that we would take her comment because we asked her a pretty nifty comment yesterday, and she gave us a pretty solid response on that. And I really appreciate that. So as a result, I took what Brenda told us, and I said I was going to run it across the bottom of the screen. And actually, it's at the top of the screen, but it is there, like I said it was going to be. And so now you guys can see some of the things that we talk about because, special shout out to Brenda. She's got that information going across the bottom of the screen. I'm very proud to have been here when we found at least one woman that was willing to jump on the show and say some stuff that we could all benefit from. So there's that. Also, special shout out to Red Void, Liberty Twitcher, Silly Emma, Max Opposer, Mr. Pibbs. There's a few other people that comes onto the show. Joe, Max's dad. There's a lot of y'all. There's a lot of y'all out there. I really appreciate y'all for coming to the show. Special shout out to Romania, Brazil, China, Vietnam. Vietnam is starting to get up there. Russia and Vietnam are some of the ones that's been watching us the most lately. So special shout out to you guys as we start moving forward. Remember that we are live 7 nights a week. It's 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. It's about 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and 7 o'clock California time. And for those of you that are on the east side of the world, it is roughly 4 a.m. Greenwich time and 4 a.m. Universal Standard Time. So the times we're going to try to stay close to it. I know we're like 15 minutes after the hour when we started today, but like I said, from time to time we do start a tad bit late. We have a little bit of issues with the internet in the area. T-Mobile continuing to work on their fiber optics so that they're going to start on the East Coast and work their way across to the West Coast. And everybody on the West Coast has got to wait another year or two to get their hands on that fiber optic cable. But it is there. It's happening. And I recommend that you take advantage of it when it first comes out because it's pretty pricey. It's $110 a month for just the basic stuff. But they're giving you like 2,000 gigabytes up and down, which is better than what we're getting right now with the Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi is giving us like 500 at best, 380 on an average day. Up and down. Well, down, definitely. Download speeds are higher than upload speeds. I'm on my side. I'm experiencing about 50 upload speeds, but probably get a bigger computer, massive processors, and might experience a little bit more of an upload speed. So with that, we have a little bit of lag on the show trying to run at 1080p because it takes a lot more than the performance is producing. Typically we have less lag when we're operating on 720p, but we also have to deal with a couple people that like to whine about the old school style of camera view because they're not getting it in 4K 3D high definition. And I don't really care because I want you guys to hear the information. It doesn't matter if I'm perfect on the show. What matters is that you guys take the knowledge that I give you and you learn from it. That's what it's about. It's not about the perfect image of the show. Special shout out to Usman. Special shout out to Jesse and Reese Martinez. I like the wise men that come onto the show. April, Nico. I like to pay homage to the regulars as we get things started. Now, today we're supposed to be sitting over here talking about heartache, and we're looking at how your past relationships can traumatize you and negatively impact your current relationship. Something that we kind of touched base on a little bit yesterday, but we're taking it from a different perspective today. And I tell you guys that we have a different show every day of the week, and we really do, but we have a lot of things that we cover, and there are several sub niches that we cover on top of that. So while we can approach a topic from 365 different ways, we try to make sure that we touch base on different areas almost philosophically, but still applicable to our common society. And this is somewhat universal because the issues that we have in this country might be different here in the United States versus the issues that people are having with relationships in other countries around the world. Because some countries have a patriarchy, some countries have a matriarchy, some countries have modern day Western culture style feminism. Some cultures still have the traditional styles where there is less assertiveness from the women, but it doesn't change the fact that overall, all the way around, we still have a large quantity of issues with being in that first positive relationship versus recovering from that first negative relationship or the last negative relationship if there's been plenty of last negative relationships. So speaking on the common things, the things that like regardless of the culture, you can pretty much address this particular portion of it similarly everywhere, or semi everywhere, I would have to say, because there's always an exception. um, it's one of those things that we learned in science is that always and never is always never correct, because there is always one situation where always doesn't apply, and there is always a situation where never applies. There is never a situation where always and never is absolute. So typically when you make a broad spectrum statement of all or none, if there is at least one that is the outlier, then those naysayers tend to jump in and try to debunk your statement by throwing up the one hypothetical scenario that doesn't apply to the concept. So the majority of the time is the most effective way to put it. The majority of the time, you'll find yourself in a scenario where you're either bouncing back from a bad relationship or you're diving into a new one, and you're trying to deal with that. And it is always good to recognize when the new relationship is beneficial to you. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And now he's here. I see you. I see you, Red. I see you. Let's take a look at this, because see Twitch. I started seeing Twitch pop up. You gotta take a couple minutes, sit back. Before I get started with this, I want to say I was talking to one of my guys, and he wanted me to give him some information about the NIWs, and I had gave him a bunch of information on the H1Bs, and then I gave him a bunch of information on the EB2s. And after I gave it to him, because we did the show about how the passports were changing, we did the other show about the gold card, the gold passport card, and there was a lot of things that we had covered. So my buddy wanted the information, so I provided it to him, and because he needed motivation to put his effort into getting his passport. And then after I gave him the information, I did deep dive research, found individuals that have successfully gotten it with pretty much no education, but they were just successful in America. Now, guy tells me, oh, I think it was a good idea. I like the ones that you send me. Can you send me some more recent? I'm sitting here looking like, bruh, you told me that if I can find successful people getting NIWs from the United States without having a master's degree or even a bachelor's degree, that you would put effort into making yourself successful. I found it for you, and now you're telling me find more. I'm going to be honest with you. Anytime I need to motivate you to be successful for yourself, specifically by doing extensive background research on your success to provide you the statistical probability of your success, which actually requires your effort. Subconsciously, you do not want to succeed. Whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish in life, at least here in America, if you have a chance of success, 1% chance of success, the probability of failure is higher if you don't try than what it is if you do. The more effort you put into it, the more likely you will succeed. That's all I can tell you about that. If there's anything that you want to do in your life, that I understand that people say, well, God gave me the strength to go and do. You already had that. The motivation to get it done was there. You just didn't utilize it. You don't need confirmation from another person for you to do what's best for your life. What you need to do what's best for your life is the ability to get off your ass and go and apply yourself to getting yourself successful. Because a person that's telling you to do better for you care about you enough to tell you that, like kinetic energy, you had the potential to be great, but your ass is lazy, so you ain't doing shit. So all of that potential that you got is lost. People say that you have potential, call it a compliment. You have potential is not a compliment, because you have a potential says that you too damn lazy to be your best self. And that makes no sense why you would say thank you to that. When somebody says you got a lot of potential, that means that you got a lot of stuff that you could be doing that your ass ain't doing. And for you, instead of getting mad at it, you should be able to say, yeah, you right. I should try harder. I should do more. I should put more effort into what I got going on, because there's never a situation ever in your life where you should be sitting somewhere looking at the fact that you have not succeeded because you have not started. Take a buddy of mine. He's doing a podcast because I did a podcast. We was trying to rock the podcast thing for a while, but the funny thing was that he didn't have the motivation. Now, all the stuff that we was doing on this podcast, he went somewhere else to try to do it himself. So here I am with 24,000 fans. He's got 100. We've been doing this since 2023. I got 23,000. He's got 100. He's got to prioritize everything but getting himself successful. He wants to be a millionaire. So do I. I'm investing in success. He's living from paycheck to paycheck. There's nothing wrong with doing things different than what I'm doing. There is nothing wrong with finding another way. But if you found a team that had a plan, that has a goal, that has a vision, and that is the foundation that will lead you in the direction of your success, the same way they told Dorothy, just follow the yellow brick road. She ain't know where the hell that road was going. All she knew was that if she followed that road, that she will find a way along that road. If she had to look for another way, she would. But never did she ever decide, you can't tell me what to do. I'm not going to follow this yellow brick road. I'm going to go through the woods. No. Somebody told her the best way for you to succeed, the fastest way to get to where you're trying to go is if you follow this yellow brick road. She got on that brick road and she stayed on the yellow brick road. She didn't sidestep off the road or nothing. She didn't squat over the side of the yellow brick road to pee or nothing. She stayed on that road with all the idiots that jumped on the road with her. And she took all them idiots with her. And she got exactly to where she was trying to go and made her success. And I know metaphorically, y'all like, damn, he quoting the Wizard of Oz. Bro, it's the same. It's the same. And I wanted to talk about that because a lot of us got those kinds of people in our lives where no matter what we do, they're not going to be successful. They're not going to apply themselves. They're going to have a woe is me scenario. There is a fear of failure that is accompanied by a fear of success. And as long as that person is afraid, there is nothing you can do to convince them to apply themselves to their success. And it is not your obligation to carry them emotionally, financially, at all. You back up the people that back themselves up. You stand up for the people that are defenseless. The people who can defend themselves, but they take them licks. They don't need nobody to come for them. Like the little girl that got peed on by R. Kelly. You could have got up and got out the way. It's not like you was tied down. You sat there like Duck, Duck, Goose, waiting for it. That bowel movement takes a few seconds of thinking about it before the release actually occurs. You can count to 5 before the streams start coming. You had plenty of time to get out of the way. You stayed there because that's what you wanted. So for anybody to go and say, oh, she was a victim of, she wasn't a victim of shit. She was a volunteer. Now, what he did wasn't necessarily in line with laws. However, during Mardi Gras, ain't no place to pee on that day neither. And if you on the second floor, whoever up underneath you, regardless of what their age is, could get wet. But Kelly caught a case for that. So my point is, if you know somebody in your social group and you trying your best to be successful, you see them with the potential to be successful, you're putting all of this extra energy from yourself into them, trying to help them be a better them. You come to recognize that no matter how hard you try, they are not applying themselves to their success, which frustrates you. That's adding unnecessary stress to you. They cool with being a failure. They're cool with being on autopilot. They're cool with sacrificing their time for minimum wage. You might not be cool with that. You might want the kind of lifestyle where you don't have to wake up at a specific time to get stuff done. You might want to have the kind of lifestyle where you can spend 5 days not wondering what you're going to do to get money, and then you realize, oh yeah, that's right, I got an idea that I can applicate right now. You might want to be that person that's closing deals in the middle of a Bermuda Triangle on a yacht or something. That person that's doing negotiations on the golf course, or signing contracts on a private jet, or like we've seen on social media recently, some of those fancy vans that they got in Japan that look like mobile offices, where you could be riding in luxury and doing deals, closing, making money by hanging out, talking to folks, as opposed to grinding hour to hour, paycheck to paycheck. If you want to be that kind of person that don't have to do none of that, but you got money making money for you, where every now and again you think, well, I'm gonna take some of my extra cash and invest it in something so that I can get a tax deduction on the profits gained. Well, off the profits lost from the investment, actually. If you that kind of person, all of them people not gonna want to fuck with the person that is content with being a failure. So what I can tell you is that you are the company that you keep. So you recognize the value of your friends, but you distance yourself from the ones that's holding you back. You distance yourself from the ones that are not motivated to be successful, the ones that are not driven to do better with themselves, the ones that have no interest in improving, because the longer that you stick with those that are beneath the goals of your standards, because you have standards. You have your current standard and the standard that you're trying to achieve. And as long as you are sticking with those that are not willing to achieve the standard you are trying to achieve, it's like a deep sea diver trying to swim to the surface with somebody that won't fucking kick. Both of y'all gonna drown. At the end of the day, if I'm trying to save you and I'm trying to save me, if you don't start kicking, I'm going to let you go, because I am reaching the surface. I am reaching the top. I am going to be successful, whether you with me or not. Now, I'd like to take you with me. I'd like to take you by the hand, and I'd like to pull you up. But it is harder to pull somebody else up than it is for somebody else to pull you down. And since it is a lot easier for you to fall off than it is for you to come up, you need to put more effort into stabilizing your come up. You need to put more effort into building a foundation for your come up. So make sure that when y'all come to the show, that y'all put a little bit of time and effort into our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday shows, so that y'all can think about and listen to different ways that we can get into some come ups. Because if we can find ways, and I probably should throw that into some of these shows coming up, because I know that next week, Tuesday, we're supposed to be talking about the brokerage companies, because Kay asked us about that as well. And then I think now, because after I talked to Jordan Barnes, he actually covered on his show some side hustles that can supplement the income. And I thought that was a fantastic idea, because I've done side hustles in the past, but I actually haven't touched base on side hustles recently. He was talking about like some pretty good 6 and 7 figure jobs. So special shout out to Jordan Barnes on TikTok. But I just want to say, like, yeah, we have a lot of topics that we should be trying to cover. And I think that it's a great idea to go back and try to cover some side hustles that are like light duty side hustles that you can make you a decent quantity of money on without having to put a lot of effort into it. Some that might be able to utilize the resources you already have, that sort of getting started won't take a lot of time out of your day and a lot of resources out of your pocket, and then be able to turn that into something that'll make you extra money on the side, where yeah, you're technically working a second or third job, but it is one that will supplement your income. And if you're good at it and making a lot of money on it, it might replace your current income if the current employer isn't paying you enough money for your effort and you're not getting any raises. Now you have to understand that low value jobs have more stability than higher value jobs, because the higher value jobs don't need you because of their prestige. They got more people applying than they have availability. Low value jobs need you, but you typically can't stay there because it pisses you off. And the low value jobs can't keep people there, so they always understaffed no matter how many people apply. So you have more job security in those lower value jobs, but those lower value jobs cause you more stress. You need a reasonably stress-free job or a less stressful job. That way you can deal with all the other stuff that you got going on in your life. So we're going to be talking about that coming soon. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe on that. And now I'd like for you guys to join me as I dive deep into these situations with past heartbreaks. And we're going to try to figure out how they're messing with the current love lives that we're dealing with. Now, have you ever caught yourself wondering why you just can't seem to shake off the ghosts of your past relationships? You are not alone. It's natural to feel haunted by the memories of old flames, especially when they ended in heartache, especially when they ended with that old flame stalking you and popping up out of nowhere, showing up in random cars. You never shake that feeling. But what if those heartaches from the past are affecting your current love life? Are they holding you back from fully embracing your new relationships? Recognizing how unresolved issues from past relationships can create barriers in current ones in a huge way. This is one of the biggest challenges we have with stable relationships today, outside of financial deficits. Because truth be told, the number one reason why it says 59% of individuals have a falling out in modern times is because of finances, which is one of the reasons why we couple our finances discussions with relationship topics, because relationships are not stable and don't stay together if there isn't stable finance. And unstable relationships tend to bleed into causing an unstable work environment, because you're not showing up for work on time, you're leaving from work early, you're not focusing on your job, specifically because stuff happening at your house is not supposed to be happening at your house. It don't matter if it's your fault or your partner's fault. Between the two of y'all, your house is not in order and it's negatively impacting your job performance. That is going to cause you to lose your job. Doesn't matter what happened to the other person. This is a first person accountability conversation. We're not sitting over here trying to blame other people. We're sitting over here trying to say, look, you have to look at the whole picture of how this impacts you. Now, we often get stuck in patterns of behavior that are self-sabotaging when we sabotage love without even realizing it. We might find ourselves being overly critical, or maybe we're always on the lookout for signs of rejection. And this is one of the reasons why I told y'all yesterday, ladies, don't go through your husband's phone. Don't go through your boyfriend's phone. Don't go through his text messages. Don't go through his apps. Don't go through his search history. Just don't. It's not because you don't deserve to know. It's because your insecurity to his loyalty and honesty, dedication, and devotion is not because of something he is doing. It's because of something you've already been through with somebody else. And subconsciously, you wish you would have seen the signs in advance. Subconsciously, you wish you would have known in advance. And that sparks curiosity of, are you missing the signs now? Which forces you to start looking to see if the signs are there. This is a problem because what this does is this starts causing you to unnecessarily interrogate and accuse your partner, building an unhealthy environment. It's also going to frustrate your partner. You're going to be fishing for a lot more reassurance, which puts the duty of your partner to provide you with unnecessary quantities of reassurance, because it's supposed to be self reassurance, not spousal reassurance. The same way self-esteem is the esteem of yourself. It's supposed to be how you feel about you, but your self-esteem is based on how other people make you feel about you. The same way, the loyalty and trust and faithfulness in your relationship is based on how much you trust what your homegirls tell you about your boyfriend or your husband when they're single. You got to change the way y'all think. And the reason why I'm talking to y'all ladies before I start talking to the fellas is because fellas already know. Fellas are loyal to the decision that they made. While the ladies might say, oh, men ain't loyal, men dogs, they cheat, this, that, and the third. But if a man decided to get you and keep you, you are not going nowhere unless you decide to leave. As long as you treat him reasonably okay, he not gonna get rid of you. That don't mean that he not gonna get another one where she's doing what you won't do. It just means that he's not gonna get rid of you. Now, you could be the worst thing for him. All of his homeboys can tell him that. He will not doubt his decision, and he will continue to try to make a bad situation work with you, no matter what anybody tells him. When you flip the script, that don't work that way. With a female, if a situation pops up, round 20, there go Mr. Satellite dumping in. You was at 18 yesterday, bro. You like Goldberg. Every time you jump in, you done gained 5 extra wins since the last show. Yeah, Mr. Satellite undefeated, 20-0. Breaking Undertaker streak. Missed one. Yeah, you missed the show. Yeah, you missed the show. I was wondering if you was gonna pop in that day, and you didn't pop in, and I was like, well, I guess I keep a score with you though. I just let you know, hey, you missed it. You was here 18, you missed 19, and now it's episode 20. So you had to take a time out like LeBron James to catch your breath because he too old to be on the basketball court. He should be next to the mascots. Comed out of nowhere. Yeah, hey, I'm watching it. I had to readjust the screen so that I can see my comment section while I'm going over all the facts. So I've got the picture with the screen with me so I can see and make sure everything is going, so I can tell when the freeze frame happened. Then I got to go up at the top and I'm looking at the counter to make sure that I'm paying attention to all of the different channels that I'm attached to make sure that the counters are working for all those other shows. Then I'm looking at the comment section off to the side. This is a lot going on right here for this small behind Lenovo laptop. I can tell you, if I had an extra couple grand that wasn't already invested in stocks, bonds, and real estate, then I would go ahead and take some money, buy me a bigger laptop that has a larger processor, probably a 1 terabyte laptop that had a larger processor, so that I could have me a lot more stuff going on, and maybe even aim for the split screen where I have like 2 monitors, where I got like maybe the front monitor right here and then the side monitor where I could see myself, and then the other monitor off to the side where I could see the guests that jump onto the show, so that I know what's going on, so I can kind of like grab all of that. I actually, now that I think about it, I need to see what I could do about getting something like that going on here, because I know that they sell an adapter where you've got like the 2 extra monitors and you can plug it into your laptop. But you know, I got my microphone plugged in right now. I've got my 1 terabyte no, actually, it's a 2 terabyte solid state drive hard drive plugged into the 8 gigabyte RAM. What is it? It's a 500 gig solid state drive hard drive with an 8 gig RAM. So I'm like, I need another hard drive so I can save all the videos and content and everything that I'm doing on the show. So I had to add that. So I'm like, damn, I need to find extra space to plug in some more stuff. But if I had a bigger RAM, if I had a bigger processor, if I had a bigger computer, I wouldn't need that solid state drive, and then I'd have that port available to plug something else in. But I'm gonna figure something out. Y'all know I told y'all that I'm working on trying to get the show better for y'all, get y'all better quality, get y'all better visuals. I was just talking about trying to upgrade some things. So, because right now we're operating on 1080p. So I don't know if you're seeing better video quality. The video looks the same to me. But I'm streaming with 1080p. And, I try to make sure that I got my hands moving a little bit, a lot, to make sure that I'm still moving in the video, just in case some frames drop. When I start stilling, my hands is moving, but it's not moving on the video. Then I'm like, yeah, it froze. But I think they took care of the tower, so I got to give them a call and see what they're doing about that, because it might not. That they ain't never fixed it since August, and every time they get close to getting it fixed, it's always got something else going on. So I haven't called technical support yet, but I got to pay that bill, so I got to give them a shout out so that they can take some money off my phone bill. Every month I call them 2 to 3 times a month. 2 times to make sure that they know that the stuff ain't working the way it should be working, and then 1 time to get them to shave some money up, usually 30% off the bill. It's a habit. Back to the main topic. The patterns that we have developed that can be ingrained, that we don't even know we're perpetrating the problems that we are experiencing in our relationships. And the worst part is that we often don't realize the damage until it's too late and another relationship has crashed and burned. For example, if you were cheated on in a past relationship, you might find yourself being super possessive in your current one without even realizing why. A lot of the times, the women, it impacts them a lot more heavily than it impacts the men, because the men might act jealously, but women will outright accuse a man. Are you cheating on me with her? You like her, don't you? Stuff to that effect. Oh, you tell all the women that. I told y'all on the show one time before, way back in the day, that if I was talking to a girl and she hit me with that line, I would more than likely drop it right there. I would just end the discussion right there, because if I gave her one pass with that type of comment, I would only give her that pass that one time. Probably within the first 5 days of us meeting one another, that'd probably be the only pass that I give her. Because if you hit me with that, oh, you tell all the girls that, and I guess implying that I'm some kind of a player. If I was a player, don't treat me like one. Because if a player decide to retire with you, if he decided he gonna get out the game and he gonna settle down with you, if he gonna stop going to war and he gonna settle down and retire with you, you need to treat him like you're the only one. You need to behave like you're the only one, so that he could treat you like you're the only one. If you behaving like you're one of many, you need to be one of many. So every time, don't ever doubt your man's loyalty. Don't ever doubt your man's dedication, because once you start doubting him, you need to start packing your bags up and get out that house. You need to just get out. Just get out. Why? Because if not, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to start misbehaving in the relationship, causing toxicity in the relationship. And that toxicity that develops in your relationship will start having y'all bickering, arguing, fussing, fighting. That fighting can lead from verbal fighting to physical fighting. Somebody's going to go to jail. Somebody's going to get a restraining order. And y'all are both going to be emotionally and mentally traumatized from that engagement. The moment you stop trusting yourself and stop trusting your partner, that's the moment you need to start backing out of that relationship, unless you're going to go get some therapy, get you some counseling, get you some relationship counseling where you and your partners in the counseling together. Something got to happen, because if you sit there and just fester on these negative situations, all it's going to do is destroy your relationship. So there's 2 ways that you can do it. You could proactively trust to not trust yourself and just go ahead and stick with this situation and try to make it work, or just go. Just go. But never act on the impulses of distrust and challenge the loyalty of your partner. That's not good for your relationship. If you want to keep your partner, you don't question their loyalty. Or if you experience one of those situations where back in the day you were ghosted, you might have a hard time trusting your current partner, even if they've given you no reason to doubt them. It's like we're always on high alert for potential heartbreak, and that can be exhausting. The thing is, our past experience shape us, all of them. Every experience that we have, it shapes us, and they can also shape our relationships. So we have to realize one of the reasons why, ladies, a lot of men, a lot of them prefer younger women, not because the men are dirty old men. It's because the younger women have not experienced enough life to experience enough trauma to be dangerous to a successful relationship. There is a lot of baggage that develops over a lifetime. And the more stuff that you've gone through at a younger age, the more baggage you have by the time you make it to your middle ages. And this goes for both men and women. So men that have been in less relationships may have less emotional baggage. Also, men that have been in less relationships have less experience with properly treating a woman the way she would want to be treated. So there is positives and negatives to that. Women believe that the more experience that they have with men, the more that they're capable of being the kind of woman that men want. But that's not true, since men do not want the same thing. We do want some things that are similar because it's common expectations for to have a partner that is a partner. But the intricate ways that you are a partner is not the same with all men. Some men might want you to leave them alone while they're on their video games. Other men might want you to give up all of your free time and spend time with them. Some men might just need you to help them make money for them. And others might just need you to relax them after a hard day of work. It depends on the man. The things that you do for the man can't be things that you used to do for other men, because that's not how your man operates. You have to find out from your current man what your current man needs. It's just like getting a new car. You can't put the same coolant in every car. You can't put the same kind of gas in every car. You can't put the same kind of oil or the same kind of brake pads or the same size tire on every car. You have to read the manual. You have to ask the person selling you the car, what do I put in this car? What size do I supposed to use on this car? Nothing about everybody knows this. And one of the reasons why we use car analogies is because just like cars, people are the same way. The same way you engage cars is the same way you engage people. No two people are the same size. No two people have the same expectations. No two people have the same functionality. So you can't treat the first person the same way you treat the third person. And you definitely can't treat the 50th person the way you treat the fifth person. Everybody's different. So each time you get somebody new, you have to find out how they want to be treated. So it's crucial to recognize how our past heartaches are influencing our current behavior and our thought patterns. By doing so, we can start to break free from those patterns and create healthier, more fulfilling relationships. When we're hurt in past relationships, it can create deep-seated psychological effects that manifest in our current relationships. One of the most common effects is trust issues. If someone broke our trust in the past, it can be hard to trust again, even when our current partner is giving us every reason to trust them. Another effect is to fear vulnerability. We talked about vulnerability a lot yesterday and how being vulnerable is a good thing unless it is taken advantage of. But if we've gotten hurt when we're vulnerable in the past, we might be hesitant to open up again. So it's like we're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. These psychological effects can also manifest in physical ways like anxiety or depression, where you're in the room crying for pretty much no reason, and your husband come in there and ask you what's wrong, and you say nothing because it's really nothing wrong. You're just going through some stuff from back in the day that got nothing to do with him, but he don't know what to do to make you stop crying, because men don't really console nothing. Men console something. Men can't fix nothing. Men can only fix something. So if there's absolutely nothing wrong, you're just sad because you're sad. Men don't know how to address that. But if he does not put in enough effort to show you that he's concerned, then you're going to be even more sad, because you're going to feel like he doesn't care enough about you to put extra effort into failing in making you feel better, because he doesn't know what's wrong. Now, fellas, on the flip side, because I'm always Mr. Uniformity, this same experience can come from you guys in depression, such as self-isolation, where you're not wanting to socialize with your girl. She ain't had to do nothing wrong. You just don't feel like being bothered. You in the room by yourself, drinking a beer, smoking something, playing video games on TV, watching the stuff on the computer, whatever the case may be. You could be that person that stay out. You get off from work, and instead of going straight home, you go to the bar. You instead of going straight home, you go hang out with your homeboys. You go sit on the stoop somewhere. This situation could be a scenario where you don't engage at the house, even if you don't isolate yourself. You just sit somewhere and just, kind of zone out. You guys got to pay attention to that, because if you start ignoring your girl, she's going to feel like she did something wrong, which she didn't do anything wrong. You're just not feeling right. You don't know why. Something from the past that you could have seen something, heard something that did not even come from your girl at all. Your wife did not have to say nothing at all. And something that you heard on TV, something that you heard your neighbor say, something that you heard another couple arguing about, that triggered something from your past that got you feeling some kind of way. And because you are in your feelings, as they say these days, you're now deflecting that accidentally. It's called misdirected behavior patterns, misdirected rage, usually when it's anger, but it's misdirected emotions, and it's being projected onto your partner. And this is a subconscious expression where they don't understand what's going on, but they understand that something's going on. And you gotta, a lot of times, fellas, when you're not in the mood, not talking about like, physical contact with the intimacy, when you're not in the mood, meaning that you are irritable for literally no reason that you can think of right now with the person that you're sitting there with, you got to let them know that you having a bad moment, and it's not because of them. That the issue that you got right now got nothing to do with them, but you're not okay right now. And since you don't know exactly what is the cause of it, they can't really help you fix it, but they need to know that you are in a mood that is not because of them. Being able to clarify that they understand that you just switched out today, and it ain't their fault. So they can just dismiss the fact that your attitude is not the way it normally would be, because you just not okay right now. That can happen if we're not careful. The depression and anxiety can take a toll on our mental and physical health. You can actually develop fibromyalgia from having excessive quantities of anxiety and depression, which leads to muscle spasms and aches and pains all over the body, which leads to fatigue and short-term memory loss, which leads to confusion, which leads to more anxiety, which can also contribute to more depression, which turns into a round robin situation of poor health, that if you went to a doctor, they're going to be giving you a bunch of drugs to treat the symptoms of the fact that you're really just not okay. It's essential to acknowledge these effects and work through them rather than letting them control our relationships. One of the most significant psychological effects of past heartaches is fear of rejection. If we were rejected in the past, we might be terrified of experiencing it again. This fear can cause us to sabotage our current relationships. And when we talk about sabotaging your current relationship, we're not talking about just, oh, you found a new person, y'all been dating for a few months. We're talking about sabotaging the first date. We're talking about you can actually self-sabotage the person that you're socializing with on social media. We could find yourself sabotaging the individual that you just talked to for the last couple of weeks. You're trying to figure out, I got a lot of people on the channel that ask us on Sundays, I've been dating for a little while, or I've been talking to this person on the platform for a little while, and now the person is stopped responding. There's a possibility you could have said something that triggered them. It's not you. But when they realize that they're not okay, they backed out of the dating game. They can't even tell you nothing. You, on the other hand, being traumatized, could say stuff that pushes people away, which leaves you in a situation where you don't know why you're not emotionally successful, because it is subconscious self-sabotaging behavior. And that subconscious self-sabotaging behavior is something that, until you recognize that you are doing this to yourself, it cannot be rectified. You can go to all of the dating channels that they got on YouTube and listen to all the ways that you can bait a girl into talking to you. But guys, if you don't get your mentality together, she might kiki at the lines that you drop in to get her to entertain you. She might ha at the way that you riz her up and all this stuff. But sometime after the first date, sometime before the third date, when your true self starts showing up, that subconscious self-sabotaging behavior, trauma, red flags start flying all over the place. She gonna see that and she gonna be like, oh no. And she gonna slightly, quietly, politely just walk away. You're not even gonna know what the hell happened. Now, we might pull away from our partners or become overly clingy. And a lot of women are not okay with clingy, but they're not okay with distant. So they have not established which direction a man is supposed to be. The man is usually either all in or all out. Pun intended. These females is like, just a little bit. Nah, it's either all in or it's all out. I don't know what you're talking about. It's not some, it's all. But either way, it's not healthy or sustainably a way to navigate love. The key insight I want you to share is that self-reflection is a healing scenario, and it's very crucial before moving forward to a new relationship. It's like needing to clean out the emotional closet, getting rid of all the baggage from our past. By doing so, we can start fresh, creating space for healthier, more fulfilling love lives. Self-reflection, and we talked about this quite a few times on the show, but self-reflection gives us the opportunity to confront our past heartaches, and we're going to be hitting this stuff head on, working through the pain and emotions associated with them. The thing is when you're doing this, you can do this by yourself. You can do this with your therapist or your psychiatrist, your counselor. You got a trusted best friend. I don't know about all that, because when you start telling your friends about stuff, they typically hold on to that until you piss them off, and then they kind of throw it in your face, or you got some that you realize what kind of friends you got when they decide to embarrass you in front of somebody new with some of those deep, dark secrets that you said in confidence with somebody else. And that's a passive aggressive way. But if you got one of those kinds of friends on your roster, you got to keep that person on a short leash when you out there trying to meet somebody new, or don't meet somebody new while you're with that person. Now, it's not always easy, but it's necessary for growth and healing. By taking the time to reflect on our past experiences, we can identify patterns and behavior that are holding us back. from there, we can start to make conscious changes, creating a brighter future for ourselves and our relationships. The importance of self-reflection can't be overstated. When we take the time to work through our past heartaches, we're able to approach new relationships with a clear heart and a clear mind. We're not burdened by past experiences, and we're able to show up more fully, being more open, vulnerable, and receptive to love. Because a lot of times when we've come out of a bad relationship, we are emotionally closed off to the magnitude where we are not able to experience love the way we would have been able to had we not been freshly traumatized. Past experiences can significantly impact future relationships, often in ways we may not immediately recognize. Unresolved issues from previous relationships can create emotional baggage that weighs heavily on new connections. This can manifest as resentment, fear, or even anger. These emotions can take and definitely make the relationship very, very challenging. And definitely it's going to be a hard thing to maintain, especially when we're trying to find emotional balance in the current relationship. This will cause us to lead to seeking excessive validation or withdrawing from our partners. And if we're seeking excessive validation, we're going to start by fishing for validation from our partner, asking too many questions of confirmation and validation, asking too many questions of loyalty and dedication. Or we withdraw from our partners and start seeking validation from someone that is not our partner. Because a lot of times, and I've said this to a lot of people, we've learned this. If you've ever experienced a psychology class a day in your life, you learn that it has been scientifically proven that human beings tend to seek easy gratification over the hard gratification. And when it comes down to attention, it is easier to get negative attention than it is to get positive attention, which is why a lot of us see people doing devaluing and degrading things to get attention on social media. They call it clickbait, to get those likes, to get those views, to get those shares, to boost your channel in a way where you can get revenue from the stuff that you're doing. You're doing degrading and devaluing things because a lot of times people will find entertainment in negative behavior. Whether you're going to criticize it, whether you're going to laugh at it, whether you're going to give your words of wisdom of the day to it, regardless of the fact, you have some level of entertainment for negative behavior. Rooterus, special shout out to Rooterus. I made a couple moves. Once the game got started, I told you, I go back and touch base with it. I seen he's kicking my butt already. We just got started. And he already got me in a bad position on the first move. I don't even know what I'm going to do with myself. Oh, man. Same, bro. Game going. It's going good. It's going good. It's going good. I seen that. I was like, oh, snap. He came up on the left side. I was like, whoosh. Whoo. He got my night sweating. I don't know. It's just the first couple. It's the first couple pushes. We're gonna see exactly how well this turns out, though. I might be able to blow the dust off my chess skills, and we'll be able to see. Because back when I was your age, I used to beat chess masters, but I haven't played chess in a long time. Typically, old folks, we used to do things like chess and checkers because we didn't have social media, because social media came out in 2009. I think I was round about 15 or 16 years old in 2009 when the internet first got created. social media wasn't a thing until like 2010, 2015 or so, because they just started connecting stuff together. So you see a lot of people's YouTube channel that started in 2009 when YouTube first came out with YouTube channels way back in. That's like archaic channels, bro. So we used to play them we used to play like board games and stuff like that back in the day. So we was better at it back then because you learned from experience. But it's one of those things. Yeah, it's everything now. It's everything. It's everywhere. Nobody can do anything, not even us old folks. Nobody can do anything without connecting to social media at some point. So now stuff like chess and checkers, mahjong, other board games that actually stimulates your mind and your strategy, your thought process, your critical thinking aspects of your mind. Chess is a good game that is one of those things that they do besides crossword puzzles. Scrabble is a really good game to do too. But these are the types of ones that keep your mind stimulated, which reduces the aging effects of like Alzheimer's and dementia. So if you were continuously doing strategy games, whether it's video games or board games or something like that, where you're always stimulating your mind to utilize critical thinking, you'll find yourself to maintain a higher level of mental health, which also aids you in your success with school, because your brain only develops with its ability to retain information. He said, yep, it has become so in person. Yeah. You have played Sudoku. Yeah. Yeah. We've played. So there's a lot of the stuff like Sudoku is similar to some of the stuff that there used to be in a newspaper right next to the comics when we was kids. So because they don't, not a lot of people get the newspaper these days because everything's on social media. But back in the, like I said before, all this other stuff came out. They used to have the newspaper. You had the Sudoku on there. You had the crossword puzzles. You had you had the more challenging ones on there. The Sunday paper is more effective. And me, I liked the home and garden section, the comics section, and the obituary. And you're like, well, why you like the obituaries? Well, because only when people die do they face go in the paper, but it's the average person. The average person, you talk about who they are and how great they were when they were alive, only in the obituaries. The whole time they was alive, you ain't got nothing positive to say about that. But when they die, you meet so many people that were fantastic when they were alive, allegedly. You make the average person a celebrity once a week, once in their life on a Sunday paper. That's why I like the obituary. It's crazy. Hey, it's real. It's real. Because they'll talk about who died, who their family members are. They don't always talk about how they died, especially if it was died of natural causes, because the murders and stuff like that is on a different page. That's on like the crime page. But just like somebody who died of old age or a heart attack or something like that, they'll just say, oh yeah, so and so passed away today, born in 19 something or other, and lived this many years and stayed in such and such a pillar in the community and left behind a wife, a father, a son, a daughter, or something like that, with 12 grandchildren and da 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 da. And they put up a family portrait and put the person's death picture. You'd be like, what? Oh, that's who that is. Ooh, it was cute when they was young. Because they never put the picture that you had when you died up there. They always put a picture that you had when you was in your early 20s. They put that photo up there. Because you want the last memory to be of them when they was in their prime. You don't want the last picture of them to be the last couple of days when they could barely crawl across the floor. You don't want that photo. That's what they used to do. But I used to love doing that. So yeah. Definitely grab a couple of those and try to keep your mind stimulated, because I know that I love being able to stay on this stuff. And Another thing I did was, because since I joined the game with you, I went on and I tagged a couple of people that I used to play chess with on a regular basis and set them up with some matches. So now I'm gonna see how many games I can play at the same time. Since I'm doing one move a day per game, I might have 5 or 7 games going at the same time and just make one move per thing. That way I spend like 10 or 15 minutes on the game once a day and not take up too much of my time on it. But when you can play multiple games at the same time and still come out with a victory, you start feeling like a chess master, because when you make that last move in 5 different games where you've got victory, 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 and then you say rematch for each person that you beat, but you notice that we never rematched the person we lost to. It's like, yeah, I'll play you again. I ain't got no problem with winning the second time, but it's like, nah, I don't wanna, he beat my ass too fast. I don't want to play him. He harsh. It's like, I ain't ready for Bowser this round. I want to I want to play some of them Goombas. I don't want to I'll take a couple Koopa Troopers before I go back. I'll never rematch that guy. No. Not on a L, especially if he caught me when I didn't make any mistakes. If he beat me and I can't say that, oh, I see why he won because I goofed, then I might try it again and see if I could beat him. But if I made no mistakes and he still got me, nah, that's all right, bro. You can have, I give you the championship. Because I used to do, not just chess, I used to do trading card games. We used to play Raw Deal when that was out there, Yu-Gi-Oh, Lance D. We had I can't think of the other name off the top of my head, but it was another one that had a bunch of sea creatures on there. We also did Magic the Gathering. We used to do all kind of card games. We used to do, and this is after we had like Pong, we had Jacks, we had, you know, all this other stuff that we used to do to entertain ourselves, but before color TV came out. We old, back when records were playing, before CDs, before VCRs had VHS players. He said, yeah, I played some fighting games too, like Shadow Fight 2. Oh, you want to talk about Shadow Fight? You want to talk about Contra? Yeah, what you know about Contra? They go all the way back. Everybody know about Pac-Man, but what about Pac-Woman? Y'all know about Tekken and Turok and stuff. Shoot. How many of y'all played that Aliens versus Predator on a Jaguar before they discontinued the Jaguar? What about that Taxi game that was on a Dreamcast before they discontinued the Dreamcast? Look now, I done been around. Technology has grown a lot. You say all the way back to the 1900s. What you mean? I was born in the 1900s, young. Them were the games. I can tell you when I was 9 or 10 years old, I was playing Resident Evil 0. Resident Evil 0 on the Nintendo 64. Okay, way back in the day. Okay, this is some like hardcore no save packs kind of stuff. You had passcodes that they gave you to type back into the game so that you could get your save spot back. And if you lost the passcode, you had to start the game from the beginning. You had it way back in the day. You ain't got none of that right now. There go Usman. Special shout out to Usman. He said, reporter, Mr. President, why are you optimistic about the economy? President, well, it's because Xander's dividends payouts are coming soon. You get a car, everybody gets a car. You get a car, you get a car. My parents say, you people are so blessed to have a phone to get entertained. They say like we had only one choice on TV channels, bro. I grew up in a town where we had pay phones. on the street corner. You had one landline in the house with a 200-foot cord on it. And you had to walk through the house with that cord and hope nobody tripped up on it. And you had a receiver that had a long cord on it. That was like a 20-foot cord. So you would walk the phone from the only wall connection that it had all the way through the house, then pull it even further, looking like a limbo stick, so that you could talk on the phone on the other side of the house. We ain't had cell phones back when we was little. Then we had they talking about back in the day when they had one TV channel. We used to have the rabbit ears, the little pieces of metal, and we had to sit there and do like the airplane people who be trying to land a plane and just find the right position so that we could see the TV. And then you got to hold that position till the show stop, because if you didn't, you wasn't watching that TV show. Be hanging all out the window outside your house and stuff, trying to catch that one channel. We had I know y'all used to using a remote to change the channel. We had, back when I was growing up, to turn the knob to change the channel. You had to click, 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 click. And if you wanted to watch some of the extra channels, you had the knob at the top that you would click, 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 and then turn the one at the bottom, click, 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 to get to the other one. Then you had 1 through 9, and then anything over 9, you had to turn that 10 through 50. So that you could get the 59 channels. I'm trying to told you. It's still back when it was black and white TV now. Before they had the push button, the right and the left push button, because they had that on the TV before they came out with the remote. Remotes didn't make no sense when we was growing up, because we was the remote. Mama say change the channel. We had to get up out of our comfortable spot and go change the damn channel. And that's back when the family watched TV together, because there was only one TV in the house. Now you got a laptop, 3 cell phones, TV in every room. Y'all got TVs on the back seat of your cars, on the headrest and stuff, where y'all sit in the back of the car enjoying TV in the car. Man, we'd be lucky if we could hear what we wanted to hear on the radio. Usman said, I imagine there would be some similarities between Xander's childhood and Everybody Hates Chris. You exactly right. You're exactly right. My lifestyle was just like everybody. That's one of the reasons why Everybody Hates Chris was so popular, because the generation that grew up in the same timeline as the plot of Everybody Hates Chris had pretty much the same life. It was all pretty much the same. But I learned from that. I learned from Everybody Hates Chris and stopped being broke. That way I wouldn't have to have that for my kids. That's what I did. I said, man, I'm not about to live and die in the hood. I got to get out. I got to get out. All right, so we were talking about excessive validation withdrawals from the partner, and individuals who have experienced betrayal may struggle with the trust of new partners. And this is going to result in insecurities about partners' trustworthiness, engaging in behaviors like snooping or constant questioning, ladies, strain on the new relationship, ladies, and trauma from past relationships that can create triggers that affect behaviors in the new one. Ladies, because men ain't doing all that bullshit. Ain't no man snooping. Ain't no man got time to snoop. He worked too damn hard. If he ain't snooping, he ain't faithful. Right? That's how you feel. If he ain't digging into your nonsense, he ain't faithful. Nah, that's not true. Fellas focus on grinding. Then they come back to the house. But when they tired of coming home and getting fussed at, they stop coming home. So you keep your man out of trouble by giving him a reason to come home. You keep your man out of trouble by not giving him a reason to leave the house. If you convince your man that he would be safer outside of his house than in the house with you, he gonna leave. And then while he out, what you think he gonna do? He gonna stumble across somebody else with the same interests as him, and then he's gonna hit it off with that person and get treated better away from his house than what he's getting treated at his house. And that's one of the ways that relationships outside of the relationship starts. But if you give him reasons to come straight home, and these reasons are not threats to his safety, then he's going to come straight home. Usman said, getting hood smart and then book smart is like a life hack. You got to understand, and Ruderus got to take this advice too. If you get street smarts before you get book smarts, one, you can apply them book smarts more effectively. And two, the book smarts can ratify your street smarts. If you get book smarts before you get street smarts, for some reason, book smarts prevents you from rationalizing street smarts. With street smarts, where there's a will, there's a way. With book smarts, theoretically, that's not possible. In all reality, anything's possible. It is just highly unlikely based on the choices and decisions that you've made in the past. So if you're not making those bad choices in the past, if you analyze the effects of all of your bad choices from the past, you recognize your present, then you start capitalizing on making good choices for the future. The fact is that street smarts helps you adapt to your situation. Book smarts help you find other ways to adapt. Well, it helps you find other opportunities that'll help you adapt. But the street smarts navigate you through. For example, we back in the day, before all these new cars came out, I ain't recommending this, but when it did have to happen, and you guys see it right now, y'all watch Resident Evil, y'all watch Walking Dead, y'all watch all those post-apocalyptic shows where they'll be driving down the street and they'll see a vehicle, they need fuel, and they'll take a garden hose and shove it into the gas tank and suck on the garden hose and start siphoning gas out of the car. That's street smarts. Nobody will, from book smarts, say, oh, if I inhale this pipe, I will fill up my gas tank. Now, some people took that a whole different direction, and now they're inhaling pipes so that they can get gas money to put gas in their vehicle. But pun intended. Hey, special shout out, Christopher's back tonight. Look what Hello, what are we talking about tonight? We are talking about quite a few things tonight. We talked about chess. We touched base on a little bit of life hacks. We were talking about how the old school used to happen back in the 90s. We talked about video games so far, board games, chess, checkers, mahjong, Sudoku. We've talked. We're primary topic of the day was talking about past choices and past trauma from past relationships negatively impacting your current relationship, and how we're dealing with today's modern dating field. But on this and that, we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Usman said, like that TV show The Wire, when the criminal enrolled into college economic classes to become a better businessman, or like Breaking Bad, when that chemist started making meth in his meth lab. I mean, yeah, if you learn how to make it happen, then you can find other ways to put stuff together. For example, since we understand that we can mix chlorine and ammonium together and make chloroform, or if you do it right, you can make mustard gas. You can utilize that in a plethora of ways. Because if you have it in large quantities, in excessively large quantities, it could be very effective for crowd control. Whether that crowd control is 15 people without a warrant running up in your house, or that's crowd control with an actual riot, however you decide to utilize it with your castle doctrine, that's the ways you make it work. But the fact is that life hacks, you have the capability, and mustard gas is terrible because if you mix it effectively, you can suck all the oxygen out of the room. You can suck all the oxygen out of the room. So this could be a situation where like they'll need some oxygen masks to come up in there. I ain't saying do it. All I'm saying is there's some stuff underneath your kitchen sink that can aid you in your exit, like Batman, where they be throwing that little tear gas thing and like poof, and then they get away. Well, you could throw a bunch of chemicals on the floor, poof, and then you can get out the bag. Or you can do it at your job, that clock out and go home. Cover that plate. I used to do that in one of the restaurants I used to work at back in the day. I used to take a half a gallon of bleach and a half a gallon of ammonia and put it in there with a little bit of detergent and stir it up and throw it across the floor and then deck brush it into the floor and then let it sit there for 15 minutes. Swing the door open and make sure that all the customers then walked out of the building now because can't nobody breathe. Then I would take a hose and I would pressure wash the floor and squeegee everything out the building, and the stove would be spotless, bro. It'd be so clean you could eat off the floor. I mean, it can contribute to some lung issues and stuff like that, respiratory problems, and potentially lean towards cancer. So you don't want to be playing around with that stuff, inhaling it inside of secluded areas and stuff. But I'm just saying, if you want to be a chemist, it can benefit you in a lot of ways. Usman said, if Xander was the Batman, we would all know the only Batman to fight crime in a suit and matching tie. I think if I was on Batman, I might be the Joker, but I would be the hero some kind of way. Because Joker got some pretty fresh suits. When you think about the anime version of the Joker from the 90s version, the mid 90s version, and the early 2000s version, not that crappy one that they remade in 2025. I'm talking about like the real, when he had the shoulder pads on and he had the good posture and the slim waist. He had the Joker actually started the slim fit trend, because if you think about it, back when everybody was wearing baggy clothes with NWA, Joker had the slim fit suit, the purple slim fit suit, and Harley Quinn with the tight leotards on. We started dressing like them for some kind of way. I don't understand how the world is backwards like that. But when you think about it, yeah, Joker started it. Joker started it. Yes. Now, some of the things that we understand that gives us signs that somebody has been in some pretty traumatic relationships and has been negatively impacted is recognition of their fear and their anxiety. You can observe some mood swings, them becoming defensive and unexpectedly hostile. You can see them with increased sensitivity to negative emotions, where they can dish it out, but they can't take it. You can experience in those situations, you know that they done been through some stuff. Now, we already understand this. The studies have shown that adults with childhood trauma histories are more likely to encounter problems in romantic relationships, where past pain experiences can hinder effective communication. For example, avoiding certain conversations that feel similar to past negative experiences, where I don't want to talk about it, should be enough. So, ladies, if a man tells you, I don't want to talk about it, just let it go. Because if you tell a man, I don't want to talk about it, or it's nothing, he ain't going to worry about it. He going to let it go. Difficulty expressing needs or expectations due to fear of being hurt again. Ladies, y'all got to tell us what y'all got going on, because if we don't know, we're not trying to find out. Childhood experiences and past relationships can shape attachment styles, which significantly influence adult relationships, where insecure attachment patterns can affect emotional regulation, impact communication quality and trust, influence overall relationship satisfaction. And signs that past trauma may be affecting your current relationship is going to include difficulty in you trusting your partner, overreacting in minor issues where it ain't that serious, but you're making it that serious, avoiding emotional intimacy, and for some unknown reason, a constant fear of abandonment where you're forcing your partner to have to constantly provide you with reassurance that they're not going to leave you, that they're not going to abandon you, that they're not going to neglect you. That when you recognize that you're asking or saying things in front of your partner that triggers their response to reassure you that they're not going anywhere, you need to recognize what you're doing, because you are actually putting a subconscious seed in your partner's mind that for some reason you believe that you shouldn't be here. And if you're putting that seed in your partner's mind that for some reason you believe that you shouldn't be here, they're going to start doubting whether or not you want to be in this relationship when you're just afraid that they don't want to be in this relationship. So your behavior can actually trigger a domino effect of negative responses that you probably don't want to have. And it is not something that you're doing consciously. So it's not always something that you can try to rectify or control if you don't pay attention to some of these signs. Pat's back. Special shout out to Pat. I love it. You and Usman be coming up with some good questions. So let's see what we got going on. Pat said, would you date a chick over 45 for fun or stay single hunting for someone younger? Pat, hold on, Pat. I got to sip some scissor on that. Okay, Pat. Are you referring to specifically just hooking up with females, or are you referring to lifelong partnership? That's the first concern. Second concern, or I can start answering those as you answer that question for me. If you're referring to random hookups, no commitment, friends with benefits, open relationship, there is no issue with the 45-year-old woman outside of her unwillingness to cooperate and be a partner. Even for long-term commitment, monogamous relationship that doesn't involve children, because women typically cross menopause by the time they make 45. So she's not bearing children more often than not. And as long as you've ended up in that scenario, it is possible to have a relationship with a woman over the age of 45 that might provide you with a more stable and healthier, mature relationship than a woman that is younger than her. So women in their 40s and 50s have a lot of potential. But remember what I told you guys an hour or so ago on the show is that potential is the ability of doing something that you're not doing, probably not doing. You know, the fact is that if she is the ideal wife material because she has learned from her past mistakes, and now that she's 45, she is capable of providing you with the lifestyle that you want in a marriage where she is the partner that you are looking for, then yes, that would be perfectly fine. That'd be perfectly acceptable. Now, when we start throwing other factors into the mix, like, for example, she's got to drop some children, especially when we start talking about more than one. 45 might not be an appropriate age for childbearing. So, would I stay single or hunt for someone younger? I would probably stay single. I don't hunt. I was hunting when I was younger. The psychology behind that is when we were, you remember that story that I know that you guys have probably heard the story before. You got an old man and a young man at the top of the hill, and the young man is talking about rushing down to the hill and trying to get as many of them as he can. And the old man, so let's just walk down the hill and get whatever's left. Instead of chasing them, because if you chase them, they're going to run. They, for some reason, like the cat and the mouse thing. It's like Tom and Jerry. If you chase, they will run. But if you don't chase, they're not going to run. I'm not hunting for nothing, younger or older. If I pass by it and it looks good, meaning that perceptively she might be meeting a lot of my expectations, then I might engage in an interview. However, if at any point in time during my observations that her behavior patterns are outside of my expectations, then there's no interest to follow through. Would I prefer younger individuals? Oh, he said for sure. I meant pursue. Well, I understand. Well, men are sociologically expected in most cultures to pursue women. There are very few cultures where the population of young girls are higher than the population of young boys. And since they're expected to be married by the age of 25 with kids, if they are 25 or 27 without a husband or kids, they might put more active effort into finding a man and pursue the men in those cultures. But in the Western culture, women will deliberately force men to pursue. Some of the higher valued, more confident women are successful and capable of pursuing, but there are not as many women that will pursue a man as there are men that are required to pursue women. So if I am going to be interested in a woman, I'm going to have to pursue one, unless I project myself as a successful man and wait for a woman to appear. Now, if I was going to pursue, I would pursue a younger female. And the reason why I would pursue a younger female is, again, the lineage. Looking for 3 to 5 of them. I'm trying to build an empire. I'm trying to build an empire that'll be run by the next generation. I want to make sure that the person that I'm involved with is going to create my next generation so that my next generation can continue my legacy. Therefore, a disqualifying factor would be that you are not able to produce a legacy. Now, a more effective question is that would I be interested in somebody in their 30s? Since 45 is menopause. Well, I would be interested in somebody in their 30s. However, it is solely based on their attitude or the lack thereof. So if I have a scenario where a person's attitude is not quite where it needs to be, even if she is in the age range that I would prefer, then I would probably go look in a different age range. Now, we have said on the show before that the most effective age range that a man should look for is 50% of his age plus 7. Regardless of what age that is, statistically, the math works itself out. There's very few occasions where the number is too low. Very few. Well, I have not found, because even if you did 50% of your age plus 7, if you're 20, 50% of your age would be 10 plus 7, which would be 17. And that is probably the one time besides 50% of your age at 18 plus 7, 50% of your age would be 9 plus 7, which would be 15. And that would also get you in trouble. So typically for the middle-aged men, that's when the math works itself out. Because the middle-aged men, when you're 40 or 50, at 40, 50% of your age is 20 plus 7 is 27. And at 50, 50% of your age is 25 plus 7 is 32. And in both scenarios, the women are over the age of 18, over the age of 21, where they're drinking age. They are still young enough to bear children, whether it's 1 to 3 children, depending on if you're having kids back to back or not. Because women can still potentially produce children between 30 and 45, but there's less children being born between 30 and 45 than there would be between 18 and 30. So if you follow that method as a middle-aged man, where the ballpark figure of the lowest that you'll go is about 50% of your age plus 7. If you're in your 40s, you're looking at a woman between 25 and 29. So would you be dating a woman that's 45? A man that would be interested in a woman that would be 45 would be a man that's probably like 60 or 70 years old, because 50% of a 60-year-old man's age is 30 plus 7, which is 37. And that goes to show you 70 years. If you cut 70 years, that's 35 plus 7, which would be 42. So a 70-year-old man would be dating a 45-year-old. A 75-year-old or 78-year-old man would be dating a 45 or 50-year-old woman. A 60-year-old man would date anybody between 18 and 40. You know, a 40-year-old man or a 50-year-old man would be dating girls in their late 20s, early 30s. And the 30-year-olds would definitely be dating 20 to 25. Now, since women are willing to date men up as much as 60 or 70 years older than them, it's really up to the girl. So if she has the mentality that she's willing to be a partner and she's not going to pay attention to your age, then you're probably going to do better with 18 to 25. But if you're looking for one that's a little bit more mature and able-bodied, then you're probably looking at one between 25 and 28. But 25 is like the peak of perfection for women, because they're older, over the age of 21, where they're drinking age, and they're able to give you like 15 kids between 25 and 45. So hopefully that answers your question. Would I say that women of a specific age group are not worthy? No, I would not say that. But I can say that there are a large majority of men that has the same mentality that I do. And I also can say that is why women will start having a harder time on dating platforms trying to get selected by a man, because the thing is that on the dating platform, some dating platforms only show your picture, and you either swipe right or swipe left on a picture. Some dating platforms show your picture and some parts of your bio, like your name and your age and whether or not you have children. Some platforms you have to click on a picture and read the bio. If it is approve the picture first and then read the bio second, you might look good visually in the photo, and then your age be a disqualifying factor. So the guy liked you, but he won't respond to your communication because he thought the picture was good, but you have children living at home. He thought the picture looked good, but you're separated going through a divorce. He thought the picture looked good, but you're like 58. And he was looking for a woman that's like 28 or 32 or 35. The algorithm puts people together based on what you say in your bio versus what somebody says they're looking for in their bio. Now, if I'm looking for somebody in the age range of between 22 and 29, and you're 37, it might match you with me because the other qualifications I was looking for are there. The only thing that's not there is the age. Now, depending on the photo, I might ignore the age. So the algorithm will send that profile to me. I look at the photo. I might say, okay, this is a good photo. But then when I go and read the bio, depending on the day, depending on the mood, sometimes a man might say, I'll take it. I'll take a look. I'll talk to the person, see what they got to say. Sometimes they might be a little bit more confident about their expectations and say, nope, this is not what I want. Sometimes, and men and women both have this issue, sometimes when you're in a more depressed mood and you're on those dating platforms, you'll lower your standards and you will accept things on that day that you would not accept on other days, and start up conversations with an individual that is beneath your expectations, where you would find yourself not being interested in following through with that engagement if you did start up a conversation with that person. Which also puts you in a position of ghosting somebody accidentally, because when you were emotionally sour, you were accepting of a person that was not fitting your expectations. And then when you came out of that funk, you're like, that person's not worth my time. And that's one of the reasons why it is important to stand on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, because your value is your value, and your value will only increase over time as a man. Ladies, your value is your value at 18. And as long as you nurture that value, your value will not depreciate as fast over time. The only thing that offsets the depreciation of value of your lack of ability to produce children and the lack of attractiveness that you have and your age is your willingness to cooperate with the agenda of the partner that you are choosing. So that means that the older you are, the less attractive you are, the less abilities to produce a lineage that you have, the more you are supposed to be flexible for the other person. Because if you're standing on P's and Q's like you 18 all over again, having demands like you all that in a bag of chips with a cookie, when you like a bag of spoiled milk in a potato chip bag, you ain't even got no cup. What am I over here trying to drink? This make no damn sense. It's a scenario where you're putting yourself in an over expectation to be accepted by somebody who you don't even meet their minimum qualifications. And that's going to be one of the reasons why I don't pursue, because like I told you guys before, the type of behavior that I'm looking for is a type of behavior that exists in Asia more than it exists in America. So while I'm open to giving an American woman an opportunity, the fact is that more often than not, their inflation expectations is that they're looking for a wealthy man to support them. Their behavior is not to prove that they're worthy of being supported by a wealthy man, because their behavior is that they feel like they're entitled to the man's wealth without contributing to the wealth. That leads to a conflict of interest, because you have not shown me your value, but you expect me to care for your entire standard of living. If I do not have value in you, I am not investing in you. If you go to another country, they will wait on you hand and foot. Some women will take you out on their dollar. They will show you their country. They will show you their lifestyle. They will show you their standard of living at their expense, because if you accept them, you will take care of them for the rest of their life. American women don't have that train of thought. You must rent her time until you accept her, and you are renting her time until she accepts you. Now, if she accepts you, you will continue to rent her for the rest of your life. But if she at any point in time decides that this isn't what she wants, you will continue to rent her for the rest of your divorce. It is not a viable scenario. It's a lose-lose. And a lot of men have the position that I have, that it's no point in wasting your time getting involved in that when you could focus more on building wealth, because you can take the wealth that you build and passport bro your way to another country and find a culture of people that still uphold to the traditional behavior. And the traditional behavior is not servitude to the man. Traditional behavior is modesty, self-respect, self-discipline, self-dignity, and then partnership, companionship behavior. Cooperating, negotiating, and supporting the man. That's not just groveling at his feet and bowing at him and supporting like all of the other male chauvinist stuff that's being talked about on so many other scenarios. Because I can tell you, while the egos of some of the men that say, oh, you should bow to your man, I can swear to God, if I'm not going to tell her not to, but it's not like it's going to make me feel some kind of way if I walked in the house and the woman bowed when I walked into the house. But if I walked into the house and I was greeted with hugs and kisses by a woman that did not necessarily have to bow to me, the fact is that I would feel a lot better in that environment than what I would feel in an environment where I walk in and all I'm hearing is yelling and fussing and complaining and whining. It's a different kind of environment. See what I'm saying? So we have to understand that if you have high demands as a woman, meaning that you're asking for a lot out of your man on a regular basis, you've got to put more effort into your man, because what are you doing for him to get what you're demanding from him? And until we start seeing that reciprocation, it's not a viable scenario. So yeah, as it stands right now, the American women in their 40s are off my table, not because they're not valuable. It's because they're not valuable to me. They can be appropriately useful to somebody, but they're not going to be appropriately useful to my agenda, because my agenda includes a lineage, and not many of them are able to produce that lineage. And since I've already showed you guys on the show that there's at least 3 different countries in Asia, including the Philippines, Vietnam, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, where the women who have not yet been Americanized, especially the ones in the provinces, will treat a man the way the man wants to be treated, and only cost a man $500 a month, $500 a month, versus an American woman costing a man $300 to $500 per date for a 2 to 4 hour date. I mean, when you start thinking about investment capital, the difference between $500 a month for 20 years versus $500 every 2 to 3 days for 20 years, the women in the other countries are cheaper. Just saying. Yeah, we're not supposed to chase women, but if I see a cute Asian girl, I might start jogging. Pat, you're a fool. But I can tell you something. If you see a cute Asian woman, you shouldn't have to chase her, because in their country, if you do this, that means come here. And they come. They don't even question it. You could be a complete stranger. If you, hey, they'll come. In our country, that's get the fuck away from me. But in their country, that's come here, come here. See, in America, you got to do that Brahma bull. You got to do that come here. You got to do that come here. You know, you got to do some stuff like that. You know, but in their country, if you do this in Asia, bro, if they see you while you're doing it, they're gonna come your way. So I mean, you don't really got to chase them out there. They have that decorum. It's mutual respect amongst each other, where if you call them over, you're supposed to speak to them appropriately, so they don't have the fear that you're going to accost them in some kind of way, which means that they're going to come over and talk to you with respect. They're not going to embarrass you, shame you, or degrade you in any kind of way, especially if you're coming from America and you're going to Asia. They're going to be treating you like a king when you go over there. This person's from America. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. This is an American. Because it's expensive to fly over there. $2,000 for a one-way trip, and you got to spend $2,000 for a one-way trip back per person. Shoot, you got to have you some money in your pocket to pay for them kind of plane tickets. Don't matter what kind of lifestyle they live in. When you think about how Asia is living at 30% of the cost of living of America, you can only imagine. I've talked to some people in Hong Kong where the entire house is the size of a 600 square foot apartment, usually a 1 or 2 room apartment, where the only thing separated is like the bathroom might be in a separate room, the kitchen might be up against one wall, and then all the rest of the rooms are all like you have dividers and stuff that you put up to separate stuff, but for the most part, everybody's in the same spot, sleeping on futons, which are pads on the floor. Now in America, you've got a bed on a bed frame off the ground with space underneath it for scary movies. You've got closets. That's a completely separate room. Inside of a bedroom, that's a completely separate room. Next to a bathroom, that's a completely separate room. And all of that has a hallway that technically is a completely separate room to the kitchen that is a completely separate room, with a living room with a completely separate room, and a dining room in the middle of that is technically another room. And that's just a 1 bedroom. Multiply that by the 3 or 4 bedrooms that are going to be in some of the places that Americans get, and that is the inside of the house, sometimes 2 stories with the stairway. And then you have the yard, where the garage is a whole apartment. I'm pretty sure that a family of 3 from Hong Kong can live in a 2-car garage in America, and think that is huge. Okay. I'm being legit now. So the lifestyle that we live, we spread out in America. One person's got 20 acres of land kind of thing. Where, like I said, over there in Hong Kong, there's something else if they've got an acre of land. It's a lot. It's a lot of a difference. So when you're going over there as an American, you have a higher level of prestige. Even if you're like a middle class American, you're going over there as a 6-figure man. You are like top tier in your country. So while the women in America are all competing against one another for the top 23% of men in America, the women in America are also competing against the women around the world, because the top 23% of men in America can fly to another country and get the woman that he's looking for. So instead of women in America recognizing that they're out of the 365,000 Americans that are in America, being half of that women, 130 something thousand women that are all competing for 23% of men, it is 23% of American men, and the 130 something thousand American women are competing against like 3 or 4 billion other women around the world, because the top 23% of American men can fly to any country in the world and potentially find a woman that they're looking for. So when the women in America start thinking about the dime a dozen phrase, where in comparison, there are more options for a man, a successful, higher valued man, than there are options for a woman demanding a higher successful, higher valued man. Which means that those women have to remember that if she is going to consider herself a higher value woman, a woman of class and stature, she would have to put herself in a position where she is showing something different that 4 billion other women are not showing. Because as a man, the only thing that a man has to do, instead of trying to convince this woman in this state, in this country, he could go to a different state, or he could go to a different country and convince a woman in a different country to do something that the women in this country are not willing to do. But that was a good question though, Pat. Special shout out to Pat and Usman coming out of left field with all kinds of fantastic questions. Now, to heal and improve future relationships, consider these steps. You want to forgive yourself and release the negative emotions. You want to learn from the mistakes that you made, whether you did stuff you wasn't supposed to do, or you allowed things to happen that you should not have allowed to happen, or you didn't do things that you probably should have done, because it's not always the other person's fault. First person accountability. You contributed to the failure of each relationship that you were in, because the common factor in all of your failed relationships is you. Create a safe personal space for solitude and comfort. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the house, but it's more appropriate if you can find a way to do it in the house, because even if you're seeking solitude and you're home, at least your partner knows that you're at home. Because if you're seeking solitude somewhere else where you're not answering the phone, you can start drawing suspicion, especially if you're not willing to tell them where you are and what you're doing for the period of time that you are missing. That also bodes a problem that if you are missing with your phone off and unaccessible by family members, that if an emergency arises, you'll be the last one to know about it because you can't be reached. So if you can find solitude at the house with your partner, even if your partner is not involved in your solitude, your partner knows where you are. Develop healthy coping mechanisms. Guys, use video games. Ladies, I don't know. Look at that. There it happened again. With the headphones. We had a catastrophe with these headphones the other day. Set and maintain healthy boundaries. You want to seek professional help if needed through a therapist or a psychiatrist. Get you some counselors, some life coaches that will help you with getting through some of the hard things that were in your past. You want to remember to recognize the influence in your past is the first step towards building your healthier, more fulfilling relationships in your future. Modern dating, being the jungle that it is, with swipes, likes, and matches, is hard to navigate in the complex world of relationships in today's digital era. So when it comes to dating in the 21st century, it's like we're stuck in a never-ending cycle of superficial connections with ghosting and an overwhelming number of options. So we're constantly searching for the special someone, but getting stuck in the sea of fleeting encounters that lacks any real substance. And it's frustrating to say the least. And it's easy to get disillusioned with the whole idea of dating. So we got to stay strong when we're dealing with the negative impacts from the past. We're more connected than ever, yet we feel more alone than ever before. And I mean, who hasn't been on a date with someone who seems perfect online, only to realize they're completely different in person? Or worse, who hasn't been ghosted after a while and you're talking to somebody who you felt like was a promising connection, then you end up being ghosted again. It's like, what's going on here? Are we all just too scared of intimacy, or are we just not willing to put in the work to make things real? And then there are the endless options available to us. I mean, it's like we're spoiled for choices. We've got dating apps, social media, and even online communities designed to help us find love. But with so many options, it's easy to get caught up in the idea that there's always someone better out there, someone who's more compatible, more interesting, more attractive, which negatively impacts our self-esteem and our emotions in our current active relationships, which is one of the reasons why having active social media platforms is not healthy for you to have when you're in a committed relationship. I mean, unless you're a live stream podcaster and that's your career choice. Not an OnlyFans podcaster. I'm talking about like a talk show like this one. It's like we're constantly comparing ourselves to others and we're never satisfied with what we have. Technology, of course, plays a huge role in shaping our expectations of relationships, and social media in particular is a major player. So, I mean, who doesn't love a good Instagram story? Am I right? But behind those curated posts and perfect selfies, there's often a reality that's far from perfect. And yet we compare our behind the scenes moments to everyone else's highlight reels. It's unfair and it's unrealistic, but we all do it. So what are we going to do about this? What if I told you that there's a way to navigate the madness and find meaningful connections in the modern dating landscape? It starts with authenticity. Authenticity. Being honest with ourselves and others about what we want and need from our relationships. It's all about being willing to put in the work, to communicate openly and honestly, and to take things slow. It's not about swiping left or right. It's about taking the time to get to know someone, to understand their values, their desires, and their fears. It's also about being aware of our own values, desires, and fears. It's about being honest with ourselves about what we want from our relationships and what we are willing to compromise on in that relationship. It is also going to be about open growth, to change and learn from our experiences from not only the past, but also from our present partner leading into our future. It's also going to be about patience, because let's face it, finding someone who's truly compatible with us is not always easy. So what's really going on in modern dating? Well, it's complex, it's changing, and it's often frustrating, but it's not impossible. With a bit of self-awareness, some patience, and willingness to take things slow, we can find meaningful connections in a crazy world of modern dating. So since modern dating is tough, but it is not impossible, by being authentic, taking things slow, and being open to growth, we can find meaningful connections in the craziest world that we can imagine. Recognizing the impact of past heartaches on our current love life, which is very crucial for our ability to acknowledge and work through the psychological effects. We can break free from the patterns that sabotage love and allow us self-reflection and healing, which are keys to creating a healthier, more fulfilling love life. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this journey into the world of past heartaches and their impacts on our current love lives. If you've guys got stories that you'd like to share about past heartaches or any issues from the past that have affected your current relationships, please make sure you drop those in the comments down below. And you're looking for more content on some healing techniques, you can definitely check out some of the other videos that we have coming out for the rest of the month. Definitely, I want you guys to take a look at the show that we've got tomorrow, because Sunday is our members only show that's open to the public, where we will be doing questions and comments from the fans, just like you've seen today with Pat, Usman, and Ruderus. Special shout out to the fellas. They're always loyal to the game. They're always showing up and showing out. I really appreciate that. Special shout out to Max Opposer and Joe's dad. Always good to see them when they pop in. Special shout out to Fireball. Got to give him a good shout out. And Lucas Toposer as well. We are live 7 nights a week. We typically start around 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and 7 o'clock California time. That's nighttime shows. We also air at 4 a.m. Green Minutes time and 4 a.m. Universal Standard Time, which is exactly the same time around the world. So, if you got the time slot, we're like one of those same bat time, same bat channel kind of situations. We're going to be dealing with some political discussions on Monday. We're going to be talking about precious metals on Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about New Zealand on Wednesday. So if you're interested in any of those, make sure that you guys take the time to like and subscribe. Also, share this with some of your friends. Share it with somebody that you know that can use the information, and share it with somebody that can rebuttal the information, because we're open to discussion. With that being said, I want to make sure that on our way out that y'all check out Higher Ground, which is specially made for the podcast from Alanino.music in Switzerland. Special shout out to Switzerland. I should put Switzerland on the map since they made the song. I'll do it today. In addition to that, if you guys want links to all of the songs that can air on the podcast, you can click those links in the description down below. Also, if you're looking for links to purchase it from Amazon Prime, you can click the links below the links that take you to the YouTube channel. So we have YouTube channel links, and then we have Amazon Prime links where you can make those purchases. Beyond that, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, we're about 75% strong. So definitely make sure that you show this to some of your homeboys who want to keep that strength going. This is a podcast from the male's perspective that's willing to help men and women improve. We're going to improve on our finance. We're going to improve in our social lives. We're going to improve in our ability to interact with each other and build a stronger network where we can benefit from our network as much as our network benefits from us. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
It's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.